Howdy everybody, BygPhattyPlus here, and it's time for a vlog. And it's been a rough last several months. Few months, but 3 months, but still, it's been rough. For those who aren't aware, who somehow didn't see that video I posted where I was going to take a week break. My grandma passed away. The primary factor was COVID, though the things that actually took her out was pneumonia and C. diff. But it's been a pretty rough few months. It started with me getting sick with, at the time, I thought was a bad case of bronchitis. I even went to the doctor, and he figured it was a bad case of, actually it was he said it was sinusitis. But looking back, it was more than likely COVID, because I had one major symptom. I don't know if tiredness is a symptom, but I know I had, the altered taste. It's like, I woke up on a Saturday morning because I had to go to work. And I felt like hell. I felt horrible. But I had to go in because no one could cover, because it's a Saturday shift. Because I'm the fastest scoop in the store, and no one can cover on a Saturday! But, okay. I went in. But thankfully, they let me go home early. They said, "You look bad." It's like, when I come in and they looked at me like, "You look bad." I'm like, "I feel bad." I come home, had to wait till Monday to go to the doctor, because I sure as hell wasn't about to go to the friggin' hospital. Hell no. So here, you have this, and then, like wait 6 hours to get seen by a doctor just from the examine me 5 minutes, say, "Oh, you have this." Go home. A month later, get a bill for $5,000. I'm like, I ain't got that. I don't have insurance. I can't afford it right now. Hoping to fix that, but yeah. For like 2 weeks, I had incredible tiredness, coughing, and altered taste. It's like everything tasted weird except for 2 things: water and fresh fruit. Everything else tasted like crap. So actually the first week, I barely ate or drank anything. And I actually had a severe lack of appetite too. I didn't feel like eating. And it was also the fact of, I don't want to eat that. It's going to taste like poo-poo. I don't want that. And it was nice for like 2 weeks not having to poop. It felt nice. Other than the being sick part. But it was the annoying part was the overwhelming tiredness. It was, I would get up, I would sleep for literally 8 to 10 hours. And I don't normally sleep in because I just can't sleep well. I normally sleep for like 5 to 6 hours. I was sleeping for 8 to 10 hours, waking up, getting out of my bed, sitting in my computer chair, and going right back to sleep. They said, "Hey, you gotta get up and move around." So I get in my chair, and I'm like, okay, that's it. And I would watch videos. It's actually, I would watch some of my friends' videos. I would watch, I forgot who else I watched. But one person I did watch a lot besides watching my friends' streams and whatnot and their videos was, Manly Badass Hero. Who some people have called him, he's like the Bob Ross of horror Let's Plays because of his voice. And it was just, he had that low, clear voice. He had a voice similar to Bob Ross's. I listened to it and I'm like, this is actually relaxing. I also watch a lot of Bob Ross too on Twitch. When I didn't have a video I felt like watching, I turn on Bob Ross. Yeah, I'm a little tired. It's like, what time is it? Freaking 3:40 in the morning. Yeah, I'm having trouble back to sleep. But it's like I felt sick, and then the second week was just straight tiredness. Didn't go to work both weeks. And then about that time my grandma got sick, starting with a sore throat. And it started to get progressively worse to the point that she had to go to the hospital because her primary wouldn't see her. Oh, you have COVID related. It sounds like you have COVID-like symptoms. We can't let you in. Okay, fine, whatever. But of course, she went to the doctor. It turns out she had it. But they said, oh, she's fine. Sent her home like 2.5 days later. And of course, when we went to pick her up was the day we had to go get tested because they said, oh, she's got COVID. Y'all have to go get tested. And of course, me and my dad test positive. He had no symptoms. I was just getting out of it. And my mom tested negative because she managed to get her 2 shots. I didn't get any at the time. But they sent her home for a couple of days. And she started feeling bad. She didn't want to eat. And she's showing the same symptoms I had, which, made me think, okay, maybe, she's got it. Maybe she does. Maybe I had it. And maybe she got it, which makes me feel incredible amounts of guilt that she must have got it from me, which really helps my depression and anxiety, sure. But it got to be so bad that we had to call an ambulance to pick her up. She was in the hospital. They picked her up. This sent me over the edge anxiety-wise. I started having an anxiety attack. But they kept her for about a week. This part takes me off. That's why I hate my local hospital. It's if y'all in my neck of woods, I'll tell you, don't go to that hospital. But they kept her for about a week, and then they said everything's fine. At the end of that week, we didn't know it was the end of it at the time. The doctor tells us, hey, we're going to keep her another week for observation, but she looks fine. Her vitals are all good. She's active and everything. Like, great. The next day, they call us, hey, they're shipping her home. There's nothing we can do for her medically. Like, the hell? Excuse me? And just like that, like within like an hour later, she was home. They sent her home in one of those freaking worthless rental ambulances, like third-party ambulance companies. Not even in a freaking official ambulance, like a freaking delivery van. And when they brought her, she was so out of it. It was like, you could tell they sent her home too early. And we did everything we could. It was like the 2 days that she was home again, she was having trouble breathing. It was to the point where me and Mom would stay up till like 5. Well, how it would work is my mom would sleep in the living room. On the couch. She did it like when Dad got diagnosed, with being infected with COVID. She didn't want to catch it, even though she already had 2 shots, but she wanted to be sure, so she slept on the couch. And I ended up buying her one of those outdoor cots and an air mattress to sleep on, because sleeping on my couch in here is hell. It's like it's one of those really soft couches that will suck you in. That you'll sit into it and you'll feel like you're sinking. And it's even worse when you try to sleep in it. It's great in wintertime because it's so warming. It's great. It's like, hey, you don't have to worry about being cold. But it's hell in any other season in Florida. It's hell. You sweat. It is so bad. It's like you're trying to sleep among Satan's butt cheeks. It's so sweaty and hot. And it is uncomfortable, especially on your back. And so I got her an outdoor mattress. Well, not mattress. One of those like cots, sleeping cots. Was too stiff, didn't have any gift, she couldn't take it. So I bought an air mattress to put on top of that. She couldn't sleep on that, she felt like she was going to roll off. Didn't dawn on me, you could just sleep on the air mattress on the floor. Didn't dawn on me, so she kept sleeping on the couch or in a chair. But, those 2 days my grandma was home, she kept complaining about not breathing. And how it would work is I would stay up till like 5 in the morning playing single player games, so if she needed anything, I could pause it and run in there real quick. And then after that, when my mom got up, is when she'd take over, keep an eye, and I'd get me a few hours sleep before I get woken up and called in to help my grandma adjust, because my mama couldn't pick my grandma up even on the bed to help her adjust, because my mama has issues with picking up anything that's heavy. It's like if it's like over 20 pounds, no. And my dad, he's He has a bad leg right now, so he can't lift anything at all. We found this out the hard way the first time they brought Grandma home, and she was still weak, but when we didn't know it, we normally would help her into her chair. She could go to the bathroom. We didn't know it. She got into her chair, her motorized wheelchair herself, got into the bathroom, but when she was done, when she tried to walk out, she slipped and fell. And what it was is she was wearing the wrong kind of socks. Because the socks were like real old socks, kinds of like didn't have any kind of traction. So of course she fell. Of course it was linoleum in the bathroom, so of course that's gonna make you fall. That's real fun to have, isn't it? And when we tried to pick her up, she didn't offer any kind of help. She sandbagged. Because when referring to a loved one, I refuse to use the word dead weight, but she sandbagged. And me and my dad, I'm strong. Don't get me wrong, I'm strong. But it's very difficult trying to pick up a person who sandbags. And there was no help. So yeah, it was frustrating. It was either me or my dad having to come in and help her move or turn and whatnot. But the 2 days she was home the second time, she kept complaining about how she couldn't breathe. It got to the bad point where we had to call an ambulance again. They get there, and the second they hook her oxygen up, she starts breathing again fine. So, they send her to the ambulance. We didn't send her to the hospital. We don't get to hear anything for 8 frickin' hours. Because, the hospital that I have here is a piece of crap. And they tell us, oh, she's got pneumonia. Which is funny, mind you. You should turn this music down. Listen to some crowd chamber. They got like a stream here of like dark ambient music. That's what I've been listening to a lot of, besides Lo-Fi Girl. I've been listening to a lot of Lo-Fi Girl and the crowd chamber lately, because I need some relaxing music, and dark ambient and jazz are doing it. Well, lo-fi jazz, whatever you call Lo-Fi Girl. But anyway, they say she has pneumonia. Like, oh great, that's not good. And she still has COVID, even though they said she's fine. Then the next morning, the doctor calls us and said she's not going to make it. She could die that day, that week, or that month. And I'm sitting there thinking, what kind of bullcrap are you on? What do you mean? What the hell? And all 3 times that my grandma was in the hospital, we had a devil of a time trying to get a hold of. That's my new chair I'm breaking in. Yes, my old chair broke. One of the wheels snapped off of the socket where it sticks in. So I'm breaking in a new chair. Great, lovely. Anyway, we had a devil of a time trying to get a hold of any nurses. It's like we would call the nurses station and we would get no answer, or we get a nurse who sounds like we're annoying them, which is fun when you're trying to hear about your grandmother, trying to hear about her medical issues, and you get a nurse who seems annoyed that you're bothering them. My mom got really short with a nurse once. Hey, we're trying to find out about my mother. You need to help me with that. I forgot what she said exactly, but yeah. Anyway, we were upset when the doctor told us that. They said they're dying, there's nothing they can do. And of course, all 3 times they kept asking us, do you want to do a DNR, which is a do not resuscitate? Do you want to do a DNR? Like, no, she's still alive, she's still kicking, she's still fighting. And what it is all these doctors and nurses, there were a few good ones, but most of them were like, they saw her age of 94 and went, don't worry about it, she's gonna go, screw it. They saw her age, not anything else. But anyway, we got a hold of a good nurse later who said, no, she's not dying, her vitals are good. She has a little bit of pneumonia fluid in her lungs, but she's fine. She's talkative. She's eating a little bit. My grandma never really ate much. You'd almost swear her stomach was the size of a freaking squirrel's, because she ate so little. She grazed mainly on junk food, candy, but she sometimes ate a meal, but she ate very, very, very little. But, dang, I should have got a bottle of water. I'm dry now, whatever. Anyway, we go at this, fighting with the nurses to hear anything, but Grandma's doing fine. They give us a number to call her. She was fine. A little out of it sometimes because, hospitals drug you up to hell and back. But they said they had to put her on oxygen because she was having trouble breathing. And they said she needs to be weaned off the oxygen and she needs to be given physical therapy to walk because the physical therapist up there did not have the patience for her. In fact, my mom called to check on her and the physical therapist was there yelling, "Hey, hang up the phone!" And if it weren't for the fact, that we weren't allowed up there because of COVID regulations, I'm pretty sure me and my mom would have been up there throwing that physical therapist off the roof. We were angry. So, we ended up having to send her to a rehabilitation center so she could get strong enough to move again. Not so much walk, because she didn't walk. She could walk maybe 5 to 6 steps before she would start to tumble over. Not at least with, unassisted. If she had a walker, she could go a little bit farther, but she'd have to sit frequently. She mainly got around the house on her motorized wheelchair. Well, they sent her to the facility to wean her off the oxygen. And while she's in the COVID, they put her in the COVID ward first because she still tested positive. And while she's in the COVID ward, we got tons of updates on anything. They call us to tell us what's going on. We could always get a hold of a nurse within like 5 to 6 minutes of calling if they weren't busy. They would call us, let us know what's going on. And it was great. Then they transferred her to general population. That's when everything went downhill. We couldn't get a hold of nurses. We had to schedule visitation. We could only stay with her up to an hour. And we weren't allowed to go see her room. Because we didn't want people passing COVID all over the facility. It seemed very suspicious. Because we were seeing people walk all over the place anyway. And at the time that it was all going on, my dad got both his shots, Mom had already had hers, and I was on my first shot at the time. I was actually, while she stayed there, I actually got my second shot hoping to see her. It's like, when my mom and dad went to visit her, I stayed home because I thought they wouldn't let me in. Because I hadn't gotten all my shots. And so, they called me via video phone, and the reception in there was trash, so I could barely talk to her. I seen her, but the reception was so horrible, it just made me so sad that I couldn't talk to her. It made me so sad that I couldn't talk to her properly because of, the reception. So I said, I'm going to visit her. The next visitation, I'm going. I'm going to get my shots and I'm going to go. But while she was there, she kept getting, little issues, kept getting sick. Everything kept going on. And when it was time for me and Ma to visit, she was sick. Her stomach hurt and she didn't want to get out of bed because it hurt too bad. And we weren't allowed to go to her room and see her, which upset me. I started to cry. I was upset. And they wouldn't let us go down there. And then things started to really go downhill. She started to get dehydrated. Very dehydrated. They had told us that they had put in an IV to prevent her from being dehydrated. But she still wasn't eating much. She still wasn't eating much, if at anything. It's like she would say she ate something, and then the nurses would say, when we get home, and say, oh, she didn't eat anything. Anyway, at one point, it got very bad. And they said they were going to put in a feeding tube so that way they could feed her. But they didn't have the facilities there to do that, so they were going to send her to a hospital to do that. But then she started to get really, really, really dehydrated. And apparently she'd been dehydrated for 3 days. Despite being told she was drinking water, she was very dehydrated. Despite being told that she had a fluid tube in her. They can't do a feeding tube, but they sure as heck can do a fluid tube. An IV, I mean. So they sent her to the hospital, and we found out that she had been dehydrated for 3 days, and she had C. diff. Which is why we couldn't go up and see her at the hospital immediately, because C. diff is very contagious. And she was very bad. And of course the hospital I kept asking us to do DNRs and everything. Then mom and dad, and then the doctor calls us and says, hey, she doesn't have long, you should come up and see her. And mom told me, you don't want to see that. You don't want to have her looking like that as your final memory of her. Because my mom is still somewhat traumatized over seeing my little sister pass away. She was there when it happened. And she's traumatized about it. And we need therapy, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, we were, they went up there, and the head nurse pulled some strings, nice lady, to get them in there, had them wear 3 different masks, and a full-on, like, hazmat suit almost, to get them to go in there, and Grandma wasn't coherent, but she was responsive, and they had to make the mask on my grandma's face for oxygen extra tight. And they had to put mitts on her because apparently she was wanting to go home. Every time they turned around, she would start pulling her IVs out and try to get out of bed. They had to tie her down. And she was feisty. It's like when they were there, she had the mitts on her hand. There was no way she could have got the mitts off. She was shaking her hand in the air like, you're shaking your hand to dry it. She was shaking it to get the mitt off. And then she either yanked the IVs out, tried to take her mask off. And they said she had a ton. Mom said there was a ton of fight in her. She was very feisty. They could barely hold her. She was responsive. She would, when Mom say, hey, it's me, she would respond and think, oh, I'm going home. But they said she couldn't. She had C. diff. And then when Mom came home, and when Mama called and told me, I cried tears of joy. Because when they left, when they left and said, because the doctor said she doesn't have long left, I cried. And when I cry, I do this screaming cry. I literally am screaming at the top of my lungs. The neighbors probably thought someone was being murdered in the house because I was screaming. And then when Mom, I was hoarse a little bit. And then when Mama called and told me that, that Grandma had such feistiness to her, I cried tears of joy. I'm like, she's going to make it. She's going to make it. She's not dying. She has too much energy. It wasn't until, later that my uncle, who looked up the stages of someone dying, said one of the final stages is a sudden burst of energy. It's like a firework fizzling. It's like a firework firing all of its last bit of energy before it fizzles. And Grandma went downhill. They used everything they could to get her blood pressure back up, but it wasn't enough, and she ended up passing at 2:59 in the morning. I was still up at that time. I didn't know Mom was the one who had been called. I was on my computer. I had just got done editing a video, I think. Or playing the game. I had just shut my computer down. I believe. And I went out to check on Mama before I went to bed. And she walked up and told me, said, Grandma's gone. And I broke. My world shattered again. I cried myself to sleep that night. I think I cried for like a solid hour. I cried in her room, sitting on her bed. We had just cleaned her room too, because we were trying to make enough room for the home care nurses to come in, install their equipment and everything for when Grandma came home. It's like, oh my God! It's like Grandma. It was the day that she was supposed to come home from that facility. Is the day they said she's too sick to come home. And the day before, I had bought decorations. I bought this huge balloon that said "Welcome Home." The biggest balloon I could find in there said "Welcome Home." We had bought decorations. I was going to make paper chains. I was going to decorate the whole house. We had bought a cake for her. And then she never got to see it. And I had another one of those morning afters where the sun was shining, kids were out playing. Actually, I don't think the kids were out playing, it was a school day, but the sun was shining, birds were chirping. Just like when Mary passed, just like the day after Mary passed, and all I could think of is, why? How dare the world be happy when I just lost my grandma? And then, we had to arrange the funeral and everything, and the funeral home did their best to make her look good, but they said they had to wrap her arms up completely because they were just covered. They were just black. It's like, from what I can gather, it was all the bruising from all the needles and IVs, plus the fact that they had already started to turn because of the dehydration. And they had to wrap her arms up, and we had to go buy an outfit for her to be buried in. And I picked this one little puppy of hers called Whiskers, a little beanie baby. It was named Whiskers, and she loved that little puppy. And I said, I'm gonna bury her with it. It's gonna be a family tradition. We're gonna have something. We're gonna have like a personal, like, little doll or something that was one of their prized possessions, and we're gonna bury it with them. We did it with Mary. It was a little puppy dog doll, a blue one, and her little pendant, her little Sailor Moon pendant she loved. And with my grandma, it was Mama's necklace and the little puppy. And day of the funeral came, and I know I'm a little rambling. I'm just trying to get these thoughts out, but the day of the funeral came. We did not want to do this. We did not want to do it. But then again, who wants to do a funeral? Anyone who wants to do a funeral, there's something wrong with that person, really. But the day of the funeral rolled around, and other than us, my uncle, the lady who does the audiovisual stuff at our church, and our pastor, who was there just to make sure everything was going off right. He couldn't stay because he was sick. No one showed up to the funeral. And one of my best friends, my bro that I had known for years, said he couldn't make it. Wouldn't give me a reason, which upset me. My boss and coworkers didn't make it because they thought, because I told them when it was, and they all thought, oh, maybe they don't want anyone to come because, of COVID. Because all I did was put the address, the time, and I go, if you would like to send flowers, send them to this. And they thought it meant, oh, don't come, just send flowers. But the fact that no one showed up, made me so bitter. I'm still bitter. I'll be honest, I am so bitter. And I don't blame people who are up north, or in other countries who couldn't make it. I don't blame them. And it's like my half-sister, she couldn't make it because at the time they were dealing with a death in the family of their own that they were trying to put together a funeral for. So I don't blame them. But it's like, people nearby, y'all could have showed up. Even just to stop by, drop some flowers off, show some support. So yeah, I'm a little bitter. I'm gonna be bitter. I'm gonna be bitter. There's not much I can do about that. But yeah, I put that video in and said, hey, I'm gonna take a hiatus for a week. When Mary passed, it was like a month or so. Because it hurt. And the fact she was actively involved in an LP I was doing at the time that I paused because she went in the hospital. That's why it probably took a month for me. For Grandma, it only took a week. So maybe it's because you're, used to death, or maybe it's because you knew she was going to go because she's old. I'm like, no. It only took me a week because my grandma told me something all the time. And that is, she thought I was a comedian. And it wasn't like a senility thing. It was the fact that I could always make her laugh. I could always make her laugh. And every time I made her laugh, she'd go, you're a comedian. You know that? You need to be a comedian. And I think that's why I got into doing videos for YouTube. Because I liked entertaining people. I originally wanted to be a pro wrestler in high school. I originally wanted to do that, but I told everybody I'm going to be a professional wrestler. And they would ask, Olympic? No, WWF, or at the time it was WWF. And then you would get, I got so many teachers who would try to tell you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's horrible. You don't want to do that. Hell, on my graduating day, or my last day of school, not my graduating day, but my last day of school, one of the vice principals took me into his office and gave me a book. It was a book written about, I'm trying to think. It was a book titled I Was a Professional Wrestler. And I'm going to guess it was a book meant to try and talk me out of being a professional wrestler. I'm like, no. Well, it didn't do a very good job, mind you. Because I read it cover to cover, and I'm sitting there going, is this supposed to convince me no? But I ended up never being a professional wrestler, mainly because A, I didn't have the money for the medical checkups and the fees to join and learn, and also because I think like what was it, 2009, somewhere around there, I fell down some stairs and rolled my ankle all the way over and screwed up my leg. So now my leg is screwed up, and there's no way I can wrestle on a busted leg because that wouldn't look good. I ain't no Zach Allen. If anyone's old school wrestling, you remember Zach Allen, the one-legged wrestler that Vince McMahon uses basically comic relief, kind of. I hate Vince McMahon. I want to slap the tar out of him some days. When I see the kind of booking stuff that goes on anymore. But yeah, I couldn't wrestle. But it's like I wanted to entertain people. I liked entertaining people. That's I like making people laugh. So I said, let me do YouTube videos. And to an extent, I have made people laugh. And that's why I like doing it. That's why I've kept on doing it. Because I know I look at my YouTube views or my Twitch views, and I see people watching, it means, hey, they're enjoying it. They're watching. I'm entertaining people. And I wanted to get back to do that, because I knew she'd be proud of that. Which is why, lately I've been pushing the views, the streams and the videos. Is because that's what I want to do. I don't want to be stuck at some dead-end job. And of course, no one wants to be stuck in a dead-end job because it's a dead-end job. You don't go anywhere. The only way you can go is sideways. You're not going up on the corporate ladder. Don't ever think you're going up on the corporate ladder working a dead-end job. The best you could ever get to be is manager. And I have seen too many people become managers at jobs and then quit after a year because it ain't worth it. You're working salary. I mean, you're getting paid salary, but you're working 70, 80 hours a week. You're not getting any extra money. There's no point in salary. I mean, hell, my boss, she works like almost 9 hours every day except Sunday. And she's salary. She don't get paid hourly. Actually, I don't even think she gets salary. It's whatever money she makes is, what the store makes. But it's hell. I don't want to become a manager at my job. I've been at my job almost 18 years, I think. I don't want to be there anymore. I don't want to be in food service anymore. I'm tired of looking at dumb schmucks come in and ask me stupid questions like, is there peanut butter in my peanut butter cookies? I have had that question asked to me, by the way, by someone who was about to buy a peanut butter cookie for their nut allergic child. Yeah, I'm kind of done. And it's not the coworkers per se. It's like, I've worked at that store in 3 different eras. When it was corporate, when it was run by a moron, and when it was run by good people and good coworkers. For the most part, the good coworkers. We had a few issues. But good bosses. And I just want to get out of there. And my buddy Matt keeps telling me, oh, you should go to Target. And I think, I couldn't make it in Target. After about 3 hours of being on my leg, it starts to hurt. And I take a painkiller so that way I can walk on it. And all it does is take the edge off. I'm limping. I don't know how much my leg got left, to be honest with you. But I don't want to be in a dead-end job. I like entertaining people, but it's so hard because you're fighting the algorithm on both sides. But it's something I enjoy doing. And maybe it'll help me get into stand-up comedy. Because that's what I really like to do. I would love to tell jokes. And with the way everything is in this world, there's no shortage of jokes. I mean, I live in Florida. The jokes write themselves living in Florida. You can hear about a freaking alligator attacking officers, and then literally the next page, there's a naked lady running down the street singing "Hallelujah, I like balloons." Those 2 haven't happened, but I would not doubt, living in Florida here, that at some point they might or will. Because Florida is like the outback, of Australia. Strange things happen in the outback. Well, Florida's that way. I wonder if I had a globe. Let me see here. I got a globe right here. It's kind of crude, but it's like, I wonder if I would take and put my, put a line straight to the globe of where Florida is. If it would. I don't know, it might. At least on this little globe, it looks like it might. Maybe we're a parallel line of Australia, and there's some kind of weird energy flowing between the 2 spots. But I would like to entertain people. I'd like to get into stand-up comedy, or at least get my streams and my YouTube videos to a point to where I can make a comfortable, not like saying massive. I don't want to be as big as freaking Markiplier, have to make freaking clothing brands and meet freaking celebrities like Gordon Ramsay and Jack Black. Well, I wouldn't mind meeting Gordon Ramsay. Learn how to freaking cook with him. But, I don't want to be that huge. But I would like to be enough. I would like to be enough where I could comfortably live. Where I know the bills are going to be paid. And that's what I would like. And I know that not only Grandma, but Mary would have enjoyed that, being entertained because I could entertain them. And I like, because like I said, I like entertaining people. I like making people laugh. I like helping people feel better and have some semblance of happiness in their lives, especially in a time where happiness is a premium. Because every time you turn the goddamn TV on, you're frickin' hearing about some stupid crap going on that makes you go, why? Why did I even get out of bed? And it's just, it's what I want to do. I like entertaining people. I was just checking my analytics on Twitch and YouTube real quick because I was just checking. And it's just difficult when you're fighting the algorithm. You're not fighting other users. You're fighting the algorithm. And with YouTube, if you're not monetized, you're going nowhere. It's like, oh, you're not monetized? I'm going to put you on the trash right here. And then I'm going to stuff the trash real hard and push you to the bottom. Because you don't got that dollar sign up next to your freaking account. Twitch, it's more manageable. I know Twitch is having its issues right now. Especially with freaking record companies and record execs breathing down their neck. I understand they're having trouble. But the thing is, I'm getting better views and whatnot through Twitch than I am YouTube. I'm getting better, help. I mean, not help, but what's the word I'm looking for? My work is showing better results on Twitch than YouTube. Let me put it that way. Better results. So again, that's why I've been pushing these streams so much. When I can. It's hard to stream when your stream time is literally right after dinner. And I will not stream eating. I will not stream while I'm eating because I hate the sound of mouth sounds. Those sounds. I hate those sounds. I do my best. Sometimes I miss them, but I do my best to edit those out of my videos. Can't do it when you're streaming though, because it's there. I know I need to get a pop filter. Maybe that might help, but it's hard to find one locally anyway. And it's hard to order one online because expensive. But I hate those mouth sounds, and I know that there's people out there who are going to be annoyed hearing me munch and chew and slobber and drink all that time while I'm streaming. If I hate hearing someone talk with their mouth full while they're playing, hearing that, then I know there's other people out there who can't stand it. So that's why I will not eat during a stream. I'll chew gum sometimes. I have drinks to keep me hydrated. But I won't eat during a stream. I'll eat before and after, but not during. So it's kind of hard to stream, a good chunk of time when you have dinner at 6 frickin' o'clock every frickin' night. And I always try to push, hey, let's have dinner a little earlier. Let's have dinner a little earlier. Nope. Something always happens. 6 o'clock. And it just frustrates me because I want to stream earlier and longer. But I can't stream too far past 10 because my dad goes to bed early because he's got work at real early butt flap o'clock. And so I can't be boisterous and loud while streaming when he's sleeping at the other side of the house. And unfortunately, despite my best efforts, you can still hear me across the house. Even with the door closed. Because unfortunately my door has that nice cap underneath that lets sound through. And so far, streaming and recording has been my only therapy because it's been my only way to try to either work through things or at the very least, push down the depression, the anxiety, and all the issues and everything. Because I can't go get therapy, unfortunately. I can't. I either can't afford it or I can't go. I can't. My friend Yiska tried to suggest me a couple of things. And there's this local mental health place near us that I would love to go to. Because it's like $5. And you can schedule an hour with a therapist. And they can help you work through things. But I can't go there because, unfortunately, my mom hates the place. My mom hates therapists for some ungodly reason. Says all they'll do is just dope you up to your eyes and medicines, and you won't be the same. And several years ago, when my uncle was alive, he was unfortunately an alcoholic. And there was an issue where everything blew up, and he ended up getting Baker acted at the local mental health place. And my mom was having trouble with it, and was talking to her family doctor, who told her, don't ever go to that place. It's a horrible, horrible place. And she took it to heart. She took it very much to heart. Despite him showing no evidence of why it's a horrible place, never telling any evidence, just said it's a horrible place. Mom goes, okay. And so, I'm not allowed to go anywhere near that place, despite the fact of my age. I don't have any way to get there. Unfortunately, I don't own a vehicle. I can't afford it. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to go get therapy there when you can't go because your mother just hates that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, I can't get any rides there because people are always busy. She keeps telling me, I should go talk to the pastor. Unfortunately, my pastor of my church is insanely busy. So talking to him is almost impossible. I tried having him come home to talk to Mom. My mom is still having issues. She still visits my little sister's grave she won't call it a grave. She won't call the place they're interred at a graveyard. She'll call it a park. And she will fight you on that. But she keeps asking God to bring Mary back, and now that Grandma's gone, she keeps asking God to bring both of them back. And I've tried telling Mom it's not going to happen. That God isn't going to bring them back because they're in heaven. They're in paradise. And I look at it and I go, if you were in heaven with all of your lost loved ones, where you had no pain, no suffering, and you were always happy, would you want to come back? And my mom would give me this look like a child would give you after you just told them Santa isn't real. And she'd say, I would if I missed my mommy. And so, yeah. I tried to get the pastor to come talk to her, but the pastor was always so busy that it never happened. So I gave up. And that was 4 years ago. He's even gotten even more busy. So, I know I'm not going to get any help. And it's like one of the people in our church said, hey, there's this place, there's this local place where everyone who has dealings with grief can go and talk to each other. And my mom's like, I'm not going to go cry in front of a bunch of strangers and do this. And it's like, she just wants to either have her way or bottle it up. And it's like, I want help. I do. I want some therapy. But I can't. And before you suggest better help, don't even bother, because I tried. That mess is expensive. Very expensive. It's like, I want better help. Okay, let me sign up. They have a free trial. Great. They want your credit card before they'll let you complete the free trial. I was like, really? I know, because I got connected with a therapist, and I go, okay, let me type. Hello. The therapist will not receive these messages until you provide your credit information. You can cancel anytime. And I'm like, okay, that's shady. But how much? $281. I'm like, nope. And I could see the box. The therapist kept trying to talk to me. But I couldn't reply because it said, no, you had to put your credit card information in. I'm like, well, screw that. I don't have that money. And that was $281 a month. Not a year. A month. Actually, I don't even think it was a month. I think it was a week. I know it was expensive. 280 something. And I said, okay, I'll just do what my mom does and bottle it up inside until it consumes my very life and makes me look like a shell of my former self. Or I find coping mechanisms. YouTube, Twitch, gaming. Which, admittedly, friends and video games, they're coping mechanisms. And the grand scheme of things are not very good coping mechanisms, despite the fact that, my issue is I don't ever want to... I have trouble talking with friends about this mess because it's difficult for me. I could talk to this with a doctor or a pastor or a therapist because they could give me an insight. It's their job to. But when it comes to friends, I can't. Because what my depression and anxiety make me feel like I'm burdening them with this stuff. And they'll tell you, no, we're not. We're here for you. We're here for you. And all my friends told me, we're here for you. We're here for you. And yet, in my stupid head, I would just rationalize that, oh, they're just being nice. They really don't want to hear it. I don't want to burden them with my problems. I don't want to do that. I don't want to... I guess why I'm still freaking single, because I don't want to burden another person with all my freaking foibles and problems. And it's something I still have trouble working through. And so yeah, I'm kind of like here right now where it's like freaking stupid o'clock in the morning. I should be in bed right now because I barely sleep as it is. And yet, unfortunately, I can't sleep because I need to get stuff off my chest. So here I have been rambling for an hour while listening to Cryo Chamber. And I just don't know what to do, really. I'm at a point now where it's like, my future looks incredibly bleak. That at this point, I could very much end up completely alone without mom and dad. Completely alone in this house. Struggling to work. Struggling to make ends meet. Because I can't work much because of my leg I know is going to get worse. Facing with the fact, hey, I might be homeless. Oh, that's the other thing. Oh, God. Well, my mom was trying to clear up the final expenses and everything of my grandma's funeral and everything. My mom decided to call the Social Security Administration to see if she could get Social Security. Because we're not sure if my dad's going to be able to make it to retirement. Because his leg's hurting him just as bad as mine is, if not worse. And he's still got to work several more years before he can get full retirement. If he retires now, he's not going to get nearly as much. And so my mom's like, see if she can draw on Social Security, which unfortunately, because she did not work enough because she decided to become a housewife, she doesn't have enough credits to rely on Social Security. And so now she's afraid that if something happens, she's going to become a homeless bag lady. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm here. And she's like, I'm definitely going to become a homeless bag lady. I'm all, thank you for the vote of confidence, mother. Thank you for that. And that worries me that I'm not going to be able to take care of her or dad. Because I can't work. My anxiety and depression ruin my life most of the time. And I don't know what to do about it. And I've worked for 18 years. So more than likely, I should probably qualify for Social Security. But then again, my second boss might not even pay my Social Security, so I might not be able to even get it. Because I might, he might have fudged the numbers and put them under the table so he didn't have to pay. And I might not get Social Security at all. None of it might count. Because that boss was an idiot. Well, of course he's an idiot. He would keep brownies in the window so frickin' long they would turn to bricks. You could frickin' build a building with them. It's an inside joke among my friend group, the RCO, about them brick brownies. And me having to argue with him in front of a coworker that, yes, or not a coworker, a customer. Yes, these brownies are old. They are in the window 3 weeks, dude. They are hard as a rock. No, they are fresh. We baked them yesterday. We ain't baked nothing yesterday, you freaking pea-brain! There was a new insult I just learned today, and I can't remember it now. It was an English one. It made me giggle, is why I liked it. But it was in a Let's Play I'm doing. I liked it. That was great. No, I can't remember it. Because my memory ain't too good anymore. That's my other problem. But anyway, I think I've rambled pretty much enough. It's almost an hour. I know I wouldn't have... I know for this kind of thing I would normally appear on camera. But my webcam is very old and I have nowhere to hook it up to anymore of where I can put it. And I look a mess anyway. I didn't want to appear on camera anyway. But anyway, I'm going to finish rambling now. I need to get to bed and get at least 4 to 5 hours sleep. And until next whatever I do, this is BygPhattyPlus. Sayonara.